Right, so hello and welcome to One Shot Comic Podcast. I'm Tom.
I'm Will.
Not still Will.
No, I'm not. I'm not still Will.
You're fighting that one, aren't you?
I am fighting this.
So, episode 4.
Episode 4.
Yep,
Yes.
that's one more than 3.
It is. We're doing well to get this far.
And almost as many issues as we have listeners.
Yeah. No, it's cool, man. We nearly lost the last issue, didn't we?
That was tragic.
Yeah. So what happened?
Well, if you picture the scene, it was a wintry summer's day, as it has been here in England.
A British summer.
A British summer.
Yeah.
And there was a young lad editing a podcast, toiling away. Muscular. Hair that looks like he just got straight out of bed, but was perfect.
Nice.
Toned. Very toned. And he was cutting this podcast.
Right, okay. Okay. And then you walked in? Oh.
And I walked in and said, "Who are you? What are you doing in my apartment?"
Yes.
I'm supposed to be editing this podcast.
Yes.
And I was editing away, and I applied a few filters because we were trying some new things. I don't know if anybody noticed it sounding a little bit better last week.
It sounded lots better.
So we're trying new filters. But what I have since learned is every time you apply a filter, it keeps it in memory, which makes the file size bigger. And I applied so many filters, it put the file size to 11 gig. And my computer just went, "I don't have that much space."
And then
it crashed.
Died.
So when I recovered it, we got an A-up error. A-up.
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 Yorkshire chum.
We got a Yorkshire error. A-up.
Nice.
Which meant that it couldn't reconcile all the files and put them in the right order.
Okay.
Because it had cached all 11 gig of it, that meant there were 10,000 files of audio at 3 seconds each. So there was no way of putting it back together.
So it crashed and you lost all the work.
Basically.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a backup.
Okay.
However, because you're prepared, you requested a uncut version.
I did.
I managed to rescue that from Dropbox and cut that one up instead.
Really?
So maybe we should do that every week, just in case.
Really? That was what saved it?
That was what saved it.
Wow.
If you hadn't have said, "Can I listen to the raw file?"
I'm kind of a hero.
You are a hero.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
Okay. I'm okay with that. So yeah, we probably should make a backup each week. But anyway, what have you been up to this week, Tom?
What have I been up to this week? Well, this week I went to LFCCC.
What's that?
It was the London Film and Comic Con.
Okay, that makes sense.
At Olympia in Kensington Gardens.
I've never been.
It was quite a star turnout. Plenty of people from Firefly there. Personal favourite show of mine.
Nice.
A lot of people from Star Trek and Stargate. Not so much of a fan of those.
Can you throw some names around?
Let me try and think of people we saw. Well, I saw Jewel State. Kaylee from Firefly, if you've watched it.
Never watched it.
Adam Baldwin, who was Jane from Firefly.
Adam Baldwin as in, like, Billy Baldwin, Steve Baldwin?
I think he's one of the Baldwin.
One of the Baldwins?
Brothers. And then friends of mine went to see Ben Browder, Chris Judge. Now, you may remember him as the guy in Stargate who had a pound on his forehead.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The big beefy black guy with a pound on his forehead.
I remember with the pound on his forehead.
So we had that provoked interesting discussions.
Okay.
Where I was asking what the pound was for. And apparently the pound only appears... It's not a pound, for those people who don't know Stargate. Right. We're now picturing a guy with a pound stuck to his forehead. It's this weird symbol.
Okay. It's like a Toyota. Like, what are those called? The things on the front of cars? It's the emblem?
The emblem from a car, yeah. It looks like someone's punched him with a knuckle duster.
Yeah,
one of those.
yeah. But then it came off the ring and just stuck in his face.
Yeah. So apparently that appears when he's on foreign planets.
Okay.
So I was thinking that maybe that, like, this is in their society, when they go to these foreign planets, they have to take a pound with them. So if they get lost, they can ring home.
It's like when you get a trolley from Asda.
Yeah.
And you have to stick the
like
pound in like that. And then, how do you get the pound back? What do you stick inside something else to get?
You put it back with the other trolleys, and then the pound pops back out.
Okay.
So maybe he does that when he checks in at home, gets home, puts his pound in, I'm home. When he goes out, he takes his pound with him.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Also, we're missing the big names from this con, like Gillian Anderson was there, Scully from the X-Files.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, Hayden Panettiere.
Who's that?
The cheerleader from Heroes.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice. Save the cheerleader, save the world.
And then because Shave the Cheerleader...
Shave the
Save the world.
Yes. I think I saw that one.
I don't think that was the official one, though.
But it was one of those naughty films, I think.
And then loads of people from the show that I don't really know much about, and I've never really heard of, called Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
I have heard of it. I'm just being sarcastic.
Okay.
I'm fed up of hearing about it, to be honest.
I hear about it a lot, but I don't. Again, this is really makes me sound like I live under a rock. Like I know nothing, but I just don't know anything about that show. So I don't know. I know there's a lot of blood, tits, and snow, and there's a dwarf.
Its redeeming feature in the first series was Sean Bean.
Right.
Because you can't be
the guy from
Yorkshire bastard.
From the O2 adverts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
O2. You're better connected.
Out comes with free Horvis.
Yeah, so he was in the first series.
Yeah.
And then he's not in the series anymore.
Does he ever go, Rose, Rose, or anything like that? Like he does in Silent Hill?
No.
Okay.
But I often, like when I see him walking around his castle and that, just
Right.
think you should hear, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah. He just sparks up a pipe with his flat camp.
No, that doesn't happen.
Okay.
And then he went out of it, and then it's just full of...
Sean Bean's out of it.
Yeah, he's out of it now. I'm not giving any spoilers away, but he's not in it anymore.
Right.
So, from my outsider's look on the Game of Thrones, is that it's a lot of people
Right.
talking about interesting things
Right.
that would be interesting to see.
But you never see
And then
it.
when you get to the point where you should see it, I don't know whether it's budget or whether they're trying to make it like intellectual and not showing you the kick-ass action bits and just make it about the talking. It's like,
Yeah,
like you know, like I don't give a shit about contemporary politics, so why the
Right.
fuck would I give the shit about politics from a fictional medieval universe? I couldn't
you don't
care less what clans are doing.
You don't care?
No.
No?
I probably should.
Okay, no, I don't know if it has any bearing on real life or anything. I don't think it's a necessity.
I have an opinion on politics when it's something that directly affects me, like ACTA and all the piracy stuff.
Right.
And,
Okay.
and restricting freedom on the internet, but on a daily basis, I don't really concern myself too much with politics. Maybe if they had like an actor from medieval times, I'd be a bit more interested.
Well, like you mean like in that Black Knight movie where that comedian goes back in time, like this black guy goes back in time and he's a knight.
He's an actual Black Knight,
Like, is it
not
like,
a black knight. A black knight.
like it's an actual Black Knight. Is that what you mean?
Is that got anything to do with piracy?
You said an actor that came from the past or something.
No, actor isn't the bill, the actor bill.
The bill? You mean the ITV cop show?
No. I mean the. It stands for something against trademark. I don't
Right.
know.
Oh, you mean like supper?
Yeah.
Right.
I
Okay.
think it was the European one. I was actor.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I only really care about politics when it's things to do with that. If people are
Right.
going to start looking through my emails, then I'm bothered.
Okay. Oh,
How this ties into Game of Thrones, I don't know.
okay.
So I read the books as well. Well, I read the first book, so it's not really books. I read the book, and I don't know. It was like my first novel,
Right. So it
and
was
written by a guy who'd
didn't
never
feel
seen a
like-
pair of boobs before. So he's like, and in this scene, boobs.
Yeah, yeah. It's like how I don't know. I suppose I still like the idea of big boobs, but then when it comes to practicality, I just find small boobs just works better because it's all there and it just does its own work.
Any more than an arm falls a waste.
I hear this a lot, and I used to dismiss this comment, but I think I'm in this boat now. So, but there's an exception to every rule. So, anybody willing to help me, test this? That's great. Cool, we can do this. So, Game of Thrones.
Yep.
I've got my hand on a stack of something here.
Yeah.
How did you get this stack of something?
Well, you remember how we had those snazzy T-shirts made, and we got like 2 extra listeners. From
Vinegar shirts.
the vinegar shirts.
Yes.
Well, I wore mine to the con, and apparently that's tantamount to having a press badge around your neck.
Bam.
So I met a few people, picked up some comics, and they wanted us to talk about them and stuff like that. So we can pass it on to our 3 listeners.
Okay, fine.
So we got some stuff from Disconnected Press, like a volume they've put out, and from what I remember speaking to theirs is they're trying to promote British artists and writers.
Okay.
We got 2 of their books. There was another book
Okay.
somewhere. We got issue 1 of Moon.
Okay. We can say, like, for anything that we accidentally skip, we can make a promise we probably won't keep now and say we'll post a link up on the WordPress or
Yeah.
something like that.
Some indie book by agi.net called Fantasy World.
How do you spell Agi?
AJIEY.net.
Okay, cool.
So we're going to look at that. And then one of the highlights of the show was being sort of chased halfway across the show floor by some guy saying, hey, excuse me, do you guys work, or do you work for One Shot Podcast?
Nice.
And I was like,
nice, because
okay,
I like
yes.
that's like it's really meta because it's like you're inside your own thing, like you're part of something bigger that you've accidentally brought this reputation somehow, and people see it and they assume that, oh shit, One Shot Podcast.
Yep.
I remember back in '96 the One Shot Podcast. These guys must be big cheese, and these guys were
These guys were promoting a micro budget film
okay.
called Electric Man.
Uh-huh.
And the cast were there, and I got introduced to the cast.
Nice.
And they were asking whether I'd be interested in seeing the premiere.
Of course you were.
Well, not the premiere, because they'd had it the week before in Glasgow, I think, because
Right.
that's where the movie's set.
Okay.
And they were saying how they were going to Comic-Con next week, because it's San Diego Comic-Con.
Right, makes sense.
And they asked if I'd like to see the view, to come to a showing, but it was after my train left back from London to come back up here to Newcastle. And they did mention that they were coming soon to the Tyneside Theatre here up in Newcastle.
Yep.
So hopefully we're going to try and see it then.
Cool.
But in the meantime, they left me a nice little... they gave me a nice little press kit, so we can have a look over that and then talk about it next week in a bit more detail.
So what's... Is the press kit just this leaflet that you've got?
Yeah, it's just production notes, like
okay.
who wrote the screenplay and director and cinematography and basically what they were setting out to do, synopsis.
Okay.
And then a couple of reviews from outside sources.
Not being snobby, just from my ignorant perspective, press kit, to me, I guess I always thought that when journalists talk about this kind of thing, like they get t-shirts or like deodorants or iPods and that kind of thing, in a press kit, I just don't know what a press kit is.
Maybe for issue 40, when we've got enough listeners, we may get free stuff.
Right,
but for the time being, we get the practical part of the press kit, which is the facts. It's 100 minutes long.
Okay.
It's got an aspect ratio.
That's like one of the first things that you hear about it as well, is it's 100 millimeters.
Yeah, I filmed on a Canon 5D.
Yep.
I mean, the bread and butter of any review. I often see reviewers talking about these things, so obviously that should be in the press kit.
I used to film weddings, so I guess that should probably mean something to me, but I no.
Then there's like the cast and stuff in here. One guy looks kind of like Richard Hammond.
Yes, he does.
One guy looks kind of like John Locke from Lost.
He does, and he's got the best name. I can't figure out what his actual name is, looking at it.
It's kind of like Derek Dick, a.k.a. Fish.
Right.
Uncle Jimmy.
Which is...
which part of that's character and which part of that's actor name?
Which is actor... Which one? Which one is actually his actor name?
I think it's Derek Dick. It can't be Uncle Jimmy.
It's the creepiest acting
Jimmy
name I've ever heard. Uncle Jimmy.
Well,
yeah, but
Derek has acted on television, including Taggart. There's been a murder.
Murder. Jump.
And in films, The Jacket.
Okay. The Jacket, well, that had that guy with the massive nose, that handsome guy. He looks kind of Armenian, like Jewish, but he's got a big nose, and it's like about being trapped in a jacket or something. I don't know.
Pretty girls, they're in it.
Yes. Okay, so does the film look interesting? Like, what's it about?
Well, I mean, one of my favourite actors and directors is Kevin Smith.
Okay.
And he does a lot of films that are centred around, but not directly linked to comic books.
Sure.
And I always enjoyed that there was films about comic books that I could relate to as a comic book fan.
Have we mentioned that this is about comic books?
This is about comic books. That's why we're talking about it. We should probably state that more clearly. Electric Man is a comic book movie.
We may have mentioned this. I just can't remember.
On a micro budget. I just like the word micro budget.
So it's set in a Glaswegian comic book shop.
It's a fast, funny hybrid of romantic comedy, chase thriller, and caper movie set in Edinburgh, not Glasgow.
Okay.
It centres around the search for a valuable comic, but you don't have to know anything about comics to enjoy it. Jazz and Wolf from Deadhead Comics. Jazz, the more business-minded of the two. Wolf, a laid-back daydreamer, who is also something of a ladies' man.
Nice.
They make a living just, but when the landlord comes looking for £5,000 to settle a repair bill, things look bleak. 50 miles away in Glasgow, a murder takes place, and by a curious coincidence...
Because it's Glasgow. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It sounds okay. It could be cool. I mean, obviously we're getting quite a heavy insight into the synopsis of the plot there because it's the press kit and stuff. Yeah. But if we get the opportunity, we'll go see it. And
it sounds like a two dick kind of film.
Two dick.
Yeah, it's two dicks and a dicking around in a.
Oh, like Clerks.
Yeah, like that sort of thing. Just like two guys. I imagine on a budget as well. Cause, I mean, that's how Clerks was done. There's a lot of sitting around talking. I mean, the screenshots that are in this just seem to be talking.
High-res screenshots?
Yeah.
People leaning against what I thought was stripes of bacon or something, but it turns out it's velvet curtains.
So I think we'll look at that properly and then talk about that next week.
Cool.
Along with the other stuff we found.
These comics, this is what we're going to read for next week, isn't it?
Yeah, this is going to be our comic book club for next week. These
3 comics. Like, whether or not we say the names properly now, or we could, like, come back later and put in a bit where we say each one who they buy and stuff.
Do a brief overview and then general opinion on what we thought.
Yeah, totally. You guys can read along and listen in and just have a good time.
And if you like what we're saying about them, you can maybe buy them.
What's been happening with comic news this week?
Well, the only thing I really think is worth talking about at the minute is Marvel Now.
What the fuck's Marvel Now?
The sort of summary of it at the minute is that they're going to give a relaunch to a lot of Marvel comics, and they're going to give a big shake up to creative teams and switch people onto stuff that they haven't worked on before.
Okay.
And they're going to finish a lot of the core series. So I think they've so far they've said they're going to finish the Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to finish Thor. They're going to finish the Fantastic Four.
So how does the series get finished? Like, does the character just die?
So they're claiming it's not a true reboot. It's kind of like it's going to be a new stepping point for people to get back into comics.
Right.
And I think they like the idea that with the new 52, there are a lot of new number ones, and people bought number ones, and it increases sales. And it also gives people there's something like approaching 700 issues of, maybe even more, of the Fantastic Four. I don't really know much about Fantastic Four. And where do you start on that if you want to get into it? You've either got to know someone who knows some good storylines, or you got to start at the beginning. And where is the beginning these days? So I think they're kind of introducing this as a nice way for people to step into these universes.
Okay, so they've got this plan where they're restarting these comics. How did you find out about Marvel Now?
It's just on the news websites like Comic Vine or Comic Book Resources.
Maybe I'm not. I mean, I don't know a lot about anything. So, I didn't hear about Marvel Now. I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I heard from my friend, you, who knows about this kind of thing. So I know that from this angle, that it might be a good starting point for reading comics. But it seems like, I mean, I don't know how else they would advertise the comics and stuff. Because to reset, they'd want to try and get as many people reading as possible, right?
Yeah.
To bring in a new audience. And I just was completely unaware of this thing happening.
Do you know what's would be a really far out idea?
What?
Keep your core series going.
Right.
Make something new.
Weird.
I know. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult of a concept. I mean, you want more people to read. You want to give people a chance to get into things. Make a new series. I mean, Stanley's getting on a bit, but he's well travelled now. Sure, he's got more ideas. He can't have just been dried up in his youth. Sure, he's got something left in the creative tank.
Probably shits him out.
I like to think that they're all doodads and doohickeys, and they're all 50s greasers, flick flack hair, and they're this is not going to sell, Stan. He's no, but kids are liking the motorcycle gangs. Do do
Shoo-waddy-waddy!
It's no, Stan.
Get back in the box.
Get back in the box. So I like the idea that they're going to bring in a new entry point into these books.
I appreciate the gesture, but I mean, I've not seen anything of it, and I'm just being cynical. But I'm all for new ideas in comics. So yeah, and it has the Marvel name. The brand's known. It's a known Marvel. It's trusted. It's been in cinema for. I think it's had some kind of strength since the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, I'd say. That's when they really started.
And the X-Men films. I think the X-Men films were just before that.
Yeah, that's right. When was the Ang Lee Incredible Hulk movie? Was that after Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Well, the one where he tears a dog in half?
Yeah, the one with Jennifer Connelly.
That's the one, yeah. Eyebrows.
Yeah. Other news, Walking Dead 100 hit this week, cementing Walking Dead as the biggest creator-owned comic of all time, I think, or one of.
Really?
I do feel like outside of the comic book, Kirkman's flogging it like a bastard.
Yeah.
But as long as he keeps giving me the good comic book that I enjoy, I don't care what he does with it. Because what we have now, we've got the comic book, we've got the Telltale Walking Dead point and click.
Yeah.
We're getting AMC's Walking Dead, the FPS.
Yeah.
We've got the season on Series 3. Yeah.
There's a separate game that's an FPS?
Yeah, Activision are doing an FPS.
Fucking hell, man.
But it's AMC's The Walking Dead.
Right, so that's a different...
So you know the two rednecks
in
the first series? It's kind of like a before they meet the group story shooter.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think we need it, but...
I don't think we need it. But...
Obviously.
Whatever, okay.
Kirkman's got it.
He sold money back to Kirkman, I guess.
We can segue nicely into this week's purchases.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I might need to just step away here from the mic while I pick up this huge pile. So this is not even... This massive pile I'm holding here is not even including the 8 issues of The Walking Dead I bought.
Why did you buy
9 issues?
Why did you buy 9 issues of Walking Dead?
I enjoy The Walking Dead, and I really want to support it. And I saw the covers, and I couldn't pick which cover I wanted, so I figured I'd get them all.
Right. Really?
And I did get them all.
You didn't pre-order them or anything like that?
Oh, I did pre-order them. I put them on my subscription.
Okay.
So amongst that,
because I remember you being quite like,
yeah, man,
those motherfuckers better have.
I had a bit of an interesting experience with Travelling Man last week, in which I went in to pick up my subscription,
right,
and they didn't give me one of the books I've ordered.
Shit
I've done that again this week. Shit, pissed me off.
Shit the fucking bed.
And I asked about it, and then they gave me one from someone else's pre-order because they were getting a delivery the next day. But I didn't want to go in and pick it up on a separate journey.
You're a busy man.
I'm a busy man. So they gave me one from someone else's subscription, but I didn't like the way that they hadn't told me about it. It was unless I'd have looked through my subscription and seen that it was missing, I wouldn't have noticed. I would have gone home.
And you did that this week.
And I did that this week. Exactly, because I was waiting, because there was another issue of Atomic Robo's Real Science Adventures. Where's that? That's not in my purchase pile. Where's my comics at, Travelling Man?
Heads are gonna fucking spin.
So if you remember, I was kicking off because I was saying if that happens with The Walking Dead, my complete set would be ruined. But luckily...
yeah, ruined. Like it's, like they cut one of your arms off or something.
I would be devastated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got all covers of that. I mean, we've got the bog standard cover here. Actually, this isn't the bog standard cover. This is the nice cover.
I remember some of those characters from...
Yes, like if you're not up to date, probably not best paying too much attention to this. Because it does have all of the dead characters in it.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, man.
So spoilers. Spoilers galore. So that's it, Walking Dead 100. Haven't read it yet because we're recording on a Wednesday after I've been and picked up my comics. So I haven't had a chance to read it. Planetoid we've talked about. Mm-hmm. The Massive from the same creative team as the DMZ, which I've been trying to get you to read for God knows how long.
We'll pick it up.
Not post-apocalyptic because there's no apocalypse.
It's like Waterworld or something?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. There's like a big wave and it's all about this ship of ecologists or zoologists, the people who look at the climate.
Not zoologists because that would be animals.
That's animals, so ecologists.
Yeah.
I was thinking economists, but that's money, so it's definitely ecologists.
It sounds good. We'll go with that. I'm not going to wiki it.
And they've got like a boat, a sister boat that's missing called the Massive, and they're trying to find it in this world. Okay. This issue they get into downtown Hong Kong, which is obviously like 40 levels deep in water because they need to get resupplied. So that's that one. Scarlet Spider number 7. With great power comes no responsibility. That's just enough said about that.
Avenging Spider-Man.
Avenging Spider-Man number 9, in which Carol Danvers becomes the new Captain Marvel.
Who the fuck is that? Terry Dodgson who's done that cover?
It is indeed.
Nice, man. His stuff looks like not Adam Smith. Fuck, I can't remember the name of the guy.
And there's a really janky ass Captain Marvel on the cover as well.
Well, Captain Marvel's a girl.
She is now. Carol Danvers from S.H.I.E.L.D. is now the new Captain Marvel.
Name means nothing to me.
Avengers versus X-Men versus
Daredevil versus Psylocke's crotch.
And Emma Frost versus Thor.
Again, there's a lot of like violence towards women's groins going on this front cover.
Yep.
Like Thor looks like he's about to smash Emma's... What's she got? Emma Frost?
Emma Frost, yeah.
Right in the junk, but not in a good way. Okay.
And I said Avengers versus X-Men versus specifically because it's such a ludicrous name for a comic book. It's short to AVX versus, but if you say its full name, Avengers versus X-Men versus, it's ludicrous.
Where's this other verses come from?
It's there. It's the versus. Because there's AVX, which tells the story, then there's AVX versus, which gives the fights. It's almost as if they went, we'll write a complete book and take out all the fighting and sell that as another book, and we'll sell the story as Marvel, just money grabbing at the minute. So these are 2 I picked up at the con.
These look awesome, actually.
Thief of Thieves, 1 and 2.
Man. That looks really good.
Kirkman's new ongoing storyline.
Okay.
I wanted number 1 because I've got a feeling that when the new series... It's becoming a TV show, for those who don't know.
Okay.
Starting in the fall.
I've never even heard of this show before. Of this comic before.
There is nothing he can't steal, nothing he can't have, except the life he left behind. Bullshit. So he's like a uber thief who wants to retire and they're not going to let him. That's about as far as... I've read 5 issues.
Great. I love the splash title. It looks really nice. So
I managed to pick up myself a first print of 1 and 2.
Cool, man.
Which, I mean, issue 1's on its 5th print now.
Right.
Because it's selling that fast. So I picked up a number 1 and I'm hoping maybe I can flip it for more money when the TV show hits.
Yeah, I want to read that.
It's going to do like The Walking Dead. As soon as it hits TV and people like it.
It's going to fucking fly.
Yeah, so I picked those up. Spider-Man number 3.
Cool. And it looks like Spider-Man's hanging from the ceiling by his rectum.
Yep.
Nice.
And the cover has... obviously both Spider-Man on it, Ultimate and 616, and has 616 villains on it, which is interesting because they're in the Ultimate Universe. So I don't know whether... Are
616 villains typically less powerful?
No, they're just different in concept. Like, we can see the Green Goblin is kind of like the Green Goblin from the movies, from the first movie, and obviously in the Ultimate Universe he's that massive abomination.
Yeah, awesome Hulk
So
machine.
Don't know what happens there yet. And then my pick of the week, other than The Walking Dead, is Chew Secret Agent Poyo. Now you know I've been waiting for this one.
I know you have, Matt. You keep mentioning it every week.
Yep. And I'm a little bit intrigued to see that there's a number 1 on it, because it was supposed to be a one-shot. If this is an ongoing series, that would be fantastic. Look at his little face.
Yeah, it looks good.
There's a sheep on it.
I really hate the colours going on with that.
It's a little bit pink. I'll give you that.
It's not the pinkness. It's just it looks like a fucking mess.
Look at that scowl. Manny is going to fuck your shit up.
Doesn't look like he has an emotion.
He's going.
It looks like he's half asleep.
You're just a hater.
I am.
So that's purchases for this week.
I'm incensed.
Did you buy anything?
Did I buy anything?
Did you have time to buy anything?
This week? No, not really. I've started reading Bone,
right.
The Jeff Smith comic. I've really enjoyed the first 350 pages. Like, a lot. There's a lot of really good characterization in it. The acting and the characters is great. The writing's really solid. It's just really comfortable to read. Later on, it starts to introduce a plot, which I think detracts from enjoying the characters so much, but there's still a lot to really enjoy. I'll probably have it finished by next week, so I can give a better summary of it, but I think it's a comic a lot of people should read. It's got some really nice classic cartooning going on in it, and it blends it really well with like a stylized realism. It's really, really nice. His line work, Jeff Smith's line work is fucking brilliant. It's just so controlled.
You talked about this last week, and it got cut from the podcast because we were trying to trim it down to under an hour. Your purchases last week.
Oh yeah.
So all the stuff you bought that we spent time talking about was gone.
Okay.
So I mean, like, we can maybe cover that, the cliff notes, whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
The notes of what you said. So you were talking about how we thought it was French.
Yeah, it looks... What, so my entire thing was gone?
Yeah, your purchases didn't count last week.
You can tell who's editing this, so...
There's no editorial favoritism.
Of course. I mean, we both thought that this was a French comic, looking at it. But if you read the writing, no, this is American through and through.
I brought it up again just because I wanted to hear you say Marsupilami. You said Marsupilami last week.
Yeah, I did say Marsupilami.
And Rayman.
It looks French. This thing looks fucking French.
So, I haven't read any Bone.
Right.
What is Bone?
What is Bone?
Yeah.
Okay,
because I see characters that look somewhat
odd,
human.
Right? They look
humanoid.
like white blobs. Right?
And then all of a sudden there's Bone, who kind of looks like Casper's grown legs.
That's it, man. That's it. He looks like a 1920s Disney character or something. It's really, I don't know. From the offset, it's not unusual at all because it's okay. I'll give you like
the
short of it. So overall, it's a fantasy story. It's got like an epic fantasy story, which I'm personally not enjoying at the moment, but it's besides the point. It starts out where it's these 3 characters. They're all like these bone creatures. They're all from a place called Boneville. And obviously, and they all have bone in their name.
Okay.
Like the Smiley Bone, Phony Bone, and Phone Bone.
And no Funny Bone?
Not yet.
There isn't a Funny Bone.
So they've been kicked out of... Phony, the 3 characters go really well together because Phone Bone is like the guy you probably see every time you see like Bone comics. He's just like the vanilla, bald little dude. Like he accompanies the main characters in the story.
Right.
And he's almost like a little paladin. Like he's really virtuous. Smiley is the Joker retard of the group, and he contrasts well with both those other characters. Phony is a prick. He's such a jerk. He got the 3 Bone characters kicked out of Boneville because he was like a corrupt mayor or something, and like he just got run out of town. And they end up in this forest and they find this village, and it's got there's this massive thing that they kick off, and it's really funny watching them interact with all the characters and other people, and pacing and people's reactions to stuff I think is the strength of Jeff Smith that comes through in this. Like you really believe people's reactions, or when they're emphasizing words, like the range of emotions he can get out with a Bone character's face, like different kinds of sarcasm with 3 lines.
Okay.
It's nuts. It's really, really good. Really recommend it. Even if you only read like the first 300 pages, you just breeze through them.
Okay. And on the back of your reading, it was your choice for Comic Book Club this week.
Yeah, it was.
So you picked for us...
I picked Volume 1 of Fables, Legends in Exile, the Bill Willingham comic that is about fables that have entered the real world through this, like some sort of crisis in the fable world. And
they forced out of their own world.
Yeah, So all the fables are forced from. So this is like Snow White and Bambi and Prince Charming. Like every mythical story character is turned out of the fairy tale world and into reality. And in Volume 1, they're all living in secrecy.
Yep.
In Fabletown, is it?
Fabletown.
Is that in New York or like some kind of New York?
And then there's like the farm.
The farm, which
like, is it? The thing is, when I heard this, the farm.
Yeah.
Is it? The farm.
You mean
old Yellow's gone to the farm?
Like in the island where you leave and like you go to heaven or whatever.
You win the lottery.
Yeah. No, it's no.
Or is it an actual farm?
It's a farm. Okay. It's an actual farm.
So they're not just sending things to die down at the farm.
Yeah. So like how Fables works is basically everyone who leaves the Fable lands, like they come here and they're given like a new job, they're assigned stuff, and they have to keep Fables secret from these new people because they don't want
the Mundies.
They don't want the Muggles in Harry Potter, I guess.
Or the Mundanes.
They don't want the enemy, who is mentioned briefly in this, to find out like, where they are, what's going on. Yeah. And they're trying to keep spies out, and they're very paranoid. There's a bizarre amount of politics and thriller element in this comic. Like, it's really about who you know and that kind of thing, and like a big talking game like that goes on a lot. So everybody who is human looking in can keep that kind of look to them, like the more human fables. They live in Fabletown because they can interact with normal people and they can go about daily business. The non-humans, or people who can't afford to look human, go to the farm. I don't think it's in Volume 1, it's just referenced.
No, it is.
Is it? You actually go there?
Because it's that opening scene, isn't there, with Beauty and the Beast, where they're talking about how she wants to leave
but
him.
It's just referenced, right? She said,
farm.
Like Snow White says, you're going to have to go to the farm, but you never actually see it. You don't see it. You don't see it.
But what you were just explaining is set up in this scene.
Yeah,
he can't. He, whenever she's angry at him, he becomes the Beast.
Yeah, that's it.
And she's pissed off at him in a minute, so he's half Beast.
Yeah.
And then they're saying, well, you need to get a charm, otherwise the Mundies will see you.
Yeah, that's it.
And they're like, we can't afford it because we've lost all our fortune. Yeah.
So
boobs galore in this.
There is boobs galore. I can't remember the name of the guy that draws this, but he draws boobs. They're everywhere.
Lan Medina on pencil.
Okay, cool. Nice. So Lan Medina, big on boobs. I'm not sure where to start with this.
Would you want to give us a brief overview of what the plot is for Legends in Exile?
Okay, so the first book, Legends in Exile, I personally think is a bit of a weird, weak way to start the Fables series. I think that Volume 2 really kicks the story off, and for me is a much more solid way to start everything, because Fables Legends in Exile is okay. So the first book it's a murder mystery, and it's a whodunit, and Bigby Wolf, like the big bad wolf, is trying to find out what's happened to Snow White's sister.
Quite noir.
Yeah, it's very noir, and this is where I think this fails to me is like it's so centralized on Bigby, so it's more like the Bigby comic. So it's like a spin-off before the entire thing's even started.
Right. I
mean, the character of Bigby's, he's an interesting guy, but I don't want to know about him right now. I want to find out about this guy later on after I've sampled this palette of different characters. Like, you're introduced to Prince Charming in this comic, he has some of the best lines in it. Like, at one point he mentions is it coxmanship?
Yeah.
Because he's talking about he's having sex with this waitress that he picks up, and he's comparing having sex to sword fighting. Some of the lines he comes out with is just absolutely brilliant.
I've always believed a truly accomplished nobleman should hone his coxmanship every bit as much as his swordsmanship.
Brilliant.
In each case, one should know when it's better to thrust or parry or bind, when it's time to withdraw or riposte.
I'm not sure if it's riposte or riposte.
Whatever it is.
I can't tell.
I just ruined his accent.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but don't you dare withdraw yet. And of course, when it is time to finally commit all to the deep lunge. And then she's like, yippee! My hero!
And then they continue having some sex.
Yep.
Which is great. Yeah, his lines, I think, are to me, are like the first example of the comic really warming up dialogue.
I just noticed there's some little pervy women listening.
What do you mean? Where's that?
Next to my thumb.
Oh, shit, yeah. That's one of the things I really liked about this volume, which I don't know if they're loose in the later ones. I can't remember because they change artists quite soon. There's a heavy amount of detail in the scenes. It's like almost like a Where's Wally meets Jack Kirby sort of thing. But unfortunately, it tends to lend like a static feel to the comic. Right at the beginning, when Jack is running up to find Bigby, it looks like he's just pausing in different runs. I think it's the next page here.
Yeah.
On page 6, when he's next to the Frog Prince. It's just like he's posing for a statue or something. But the, that's beside. I guess it's besides the point, because the colours are really good in this. Like, I think it's an exemplary use of gradients. This is something that I think comics fuck up routinely, is getting good gradients and good gradient use in using limited palettes. This comic just does it well in spades. Like, even the subtle stuff like blush on some girls' cheeks and stuff like that, it's really nice. And there's a section later on when Jack's reminiscing about his past with Rose, and her hair is like highlighted.
Yeah.
And she's wearing like a red dress in some of the scenes and stuff, and just really clever uses of colour.
Now, when you said to me that we were going to be reading Fables, obviously I'd not heard of it, not read it.
Mm-hmm.
I was not prepared for how adult this was going to be.
Okay, what did you
when
think?
When you said Fables, I don't know. It's that because of the subject matter is children's stories.
Yeah.
That what I was expecting was children's stories.
Were you expecting maybe like a twisted version of them or something like that? Or?
I don't even really know what I was expecting. I just didn't expect it to be like a noir CSI style thriller with buckets of blood, sex, boobs, foul language,
Because it's got like, it's not like Tarantino or anything. I think the dialogue gets quite involved, but it is quite adult and it's quite mature. But I think despite doing that, I don't think it's in a lot of places very believable in its dialogue. Like, I don't know if it's because they're trying to really force home the fact that a lot of these characters had pasts together, and they come up with funny quips about eggs and ham, or like, are you climbing any beanstalks today?
Yeah.
Or anything like that. And to me, it feels a bit like, you're trying far too hard to force these things together. But then there's some really nice natural dialogue when, like, towards the end, where it's Snow White and Bigby dancing on the ballroom, and she makes a comment about him looking at his feet as he's dancing, and she says, "That looks like you're looking at my tits." And he says, "Well, I have to look at my feet, otherwise I'll trip up, and you shouldn't wear such low tops anyway." And she says, it separates the men from the dogs, and then he barks, and then he stands on a foot accidentally, because he's looking up instead of down.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's this nice back and forth, and it's within 4 panels as well. They really cram a lot of character interaction in, and later on these characters really do develop, and I think towards the end of the book it does start to really heat up. Yeah.
I was saying it was quite adult until you get the kind of Scooby-Doo kids dramatic reveal at the end.
Yeah, this is what another reason why I think this is a bad start to this comic, because it's like, I think you might have told me this once, like, one of the fundamental rules of storytelling, don't have it was just a dream.
Yeah.
Or don't have, whoops, it's a lie. Yeah. Or it was aliens or something, and don't fuck the reader over. And the revelation of Rose not being dead at the end. I mean, fine, she's not dead, okay, but then it was just some dumb ploy to get money.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I did want
thick.
I did want her to say it, and I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
they like pull the wig off and everything like a Scooby-Doo. And the panel straight afterwards looks like a Scooby-Doo scene.
It does.
Like, oh, it was that janitor.
Yeah. Mr. McGonagall! Exactly.
But then it's actually quite smart.
Yeah.
Once you get over that little hump.
It's cool. It's nice how they tied it all in and stuff. It's just... Yeah,
which is where my CSI reference came in.
I think it's just really fucking difficult for the kind of plot to not be completely frustrating. It's nice how it ties it all in and make sure it explains everything, but I don't think it sets off the story very well.
Well, it made me want to read volume 2.
Okay, well, that's cool, man. That established it. I've shown the comic to a few people though, and it's always been volume 2 where they've really, really started liking the comic.
Nodding.
So
I should say yes.
Who's your favourite character?
Bigby.
Bigby.
He's basically, for me, he's like House.
Okay.
He's dry but funny, and he's entirely goal-oriented. There's even Snow White points out at some point that every time he meets a suspect, he arrests him. It's like, I'm arresting him.
He does. No, you're right, he does. It's like he's into his bad cop techniques.
And he's playing them off.
Also, he's a wolf, so he can smell stuff, and he can smell fear on people. He's like a natural detective.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it works well, like it ties together. He is a noir detective. That is his character.
And I liked how he sort of all of the people that are in it, was the most referential towards his fairy tale side in this book as well, I think.
Well,
with maybe the Beast from Beauty and the Beast at the start. Because, I mean, for all intents and purposes, Cinderella, Snow White, Red Rose could just be normal people. Whereas Bigby's the big bad wolf, and when you see these scenes where he's casting a shadow, and the shadow's the big bad wolf, like it's I think in this volume, he is the best representation of the dual universes that these people are part of. For that reason.
What about Bluebeard?
He's just a guy, though, isn't he? There's very little.
Like, where the fuck does Bluebeard come from? What Fable is Bluebeard from?
I know a Blackbeard.
I've heard about him before. Definitely heard about him, but I don't know where he's from. And it says he has a reputation for killing his wives or something. And
after he marries him, the night
after he marries him, I guess it's you get a lot of opportunities to see Bigby's past. I guess because it's a Bigby comic, so it's heavily devoted to him.
But like I was saying, I mean, I've only read this volume, and he's the one who is the best example of someone living in dual worlds. Yeah, and even at one point turns into the big bad wolf.
Yeah, he does.
He busts in, and he's just like, no.
Is that when Bluebeard's he thinks he's gonna kill Jack?
Yeah,
that's it.
And then the creepy old woman, man. That's like the most sinister face ever. The Black Forest witch,
not Baba Yaga. Yeah, the woman the witch from Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah,
that's who it is. Yeah, she warms up later on, like quite quickly as well. She becomes a really cool character. The art in this is sometimes really, really good. Like on page 66, when Bigby's turned into the wolf, it's the bottom panel. It just looks like it's demanding pulp horror. This needs to be in a horror comic or something. Yeah, it looks really, really overbearing. Like I hope this guy does posters or something like that.
What was your favourite part?
My favourite bit
of volume 1.
Okay,
shall I go first?
Yeah, please.
I liked the appearance of Pinocchio.
Okay.
And his tale of epic woe.
Nice. Okay.
Because he was. They have the gala, don't they? The annual Remembrance Day for.
That's it.
The Exile.
That's it.
And he's there, and they're like, "Why are you here?" He's like, "Well, I'm here because I want to see. Is it the Great Fairy or something?" Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Well, why do you want to see her?" It's like, "Well, when I wish to be a boy, a real boy, I didn't mean eternally. It's just like I want my fucking balls to drop."
It's great. It's good bit of grit. I like Pinocchio's character a lot. He's drawn really differently in this volume as well than he is later on. I think in volume 2 he changes completely. Like he looks a lot more wooden. I can't remember if he accidentally gets
literally.
Yeah, I can't remember if he actually gets changed back into a puppet or something. Maybe I'm plot spoiling or something, but he looks nothing like that quite soon.
I enjoyed Bigby's interaction with the little pigs when he just keeps turning up on his doorstep and he's talking about how I am the example of you being reformed. Yeah, because I am the little pig and I stayed on your couch and you didn't eat me. Yeah, and he's like, "What's for breakfast?" And Bigby's like, "Ham and eggs." He's like, "You're a star monster."
It's good. It is good.
I kind of imagine it as like an adult version of Shrek.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like this, all this, the fairy tale tropes and things.
When you were saying that, I imagine like, "You're still a monster." Or
the gingerbread man.
Yeah, the gingerbread man's voice or something like that. I think that's one of the things that bothered me as I was skimming through the book. Like in that scene, the pig doesn't sound like I would imagine the pig to sound. I don't know if it unsettled me or something, but like I really wanted him to sound a bit more like a fat guy and go like that or something. But he doesn't. Like he just sounds like a dignified person.
You're just doing the voices in your own head, so it's your own fault.
Yeah, but it's the dialogue though, which suggests the tone of the voices. I guess the character's appearance does as well, but
he does look quite like his face is quite human for a pig.
Yeah,
I love how he's just smoking though.
The pig.
Yeah,
is the pig smoking? Oh fuck, he is.
Sparks light.
Little pig
sits at the table.
He is. Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
Leave me alone, Bigby. I'm still sleeping. I got in late last night. I love that the pig's got its own little story. I wouldn't know what happened to the pig. Maybe Pig in the City, but like adult style. Like maybe he took in a strip club.
Yes, he could have done. Yes. Yeah. You know what? I'm not really sure what my favourite part of it was.
Sex scene.
It was funny. It's really funny. I like that a lot.
I like how happy Bigby gets when he gets to do the big reveal. Like he's like, "This is the parlour scene."
Cool. That is cool.
And then that one guy's like, "But we're not in a parlour.
Can I have them through it?"
And he's like, "Don't take this away from me."
Yeah, that's good. I think the thing that sticks with me is probably the introduction to Prince Charming in the restaurant. How in so few frames he just comes across as a total shit. That's where I fall in love with the character, like straight off the bat.
He's so hypnotic to women, isn't he? Like, he's just like, "I don't have any money." She's like, "Oh, it's kind of like a Jedi mind trick." He's just like,
it is.
"I don't have any money." She's like,
it's just
"I'll pay for your food."
Using the scent of his penis, or however he does it, I'm not sure. But
Pheromones,
like deer sex. So I would recommend Fables, but I'd say give it a better read than I did this week, and read read Volume 2 as well to like really give it a good chance. I mean, luckily the front covers are done by James Jean. He's absolutely cracking. Like, he's got this great Oriental meets anatomical fantasy painting style, which is, they're just really hypnotic, beautiful paintings.
I like the colours, the use of colour on this front cover as well.
It's good. It's good. It's all good. I mean, what would you say? Would you recommend the comic?
I'll be honest, when I looked at it, when you first gave it to me and I flicked through, I'm not the biggest fan of this style of art. These days I tend to read things that look a little bit different in terms of the art style.
So it looks old.
So it looks old. It looks like it could be from, maybe the colouring's too good for it to be really old, but it definitely looks like an 80s comic.
You mean like Watchmen sort of thing, or like
Watchmen? Yeah, it's definitely like a throwback.
Yeah,
and usually when I read books that are from the era, I tend I don't usually go for them because I can't relate to them.
Yeah,
like when I've read a lot of the old Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, I dig Spider-Man. We know this. I can't relate to that version of Spider-Man because of its setting and its habits from the time. Like, and I kind of expected the same from this.
I get you.
I wasn't aware that it was quite as new as it was.
Yeah.
So when I saw the art and I saw inside it, I was really expecting to read it and just be like, oh, it's cool. It's kind of a nice throwback, but it's a lot more interesting than I was expecting, and I'm definitely tonight even going to start reading Volume 2.
Cool, man. I'm glad the first volume didn't put you off then.
Well, this is kind of what we're trying to do with Comic Book Club, is introduce people to new things and ourselves as well, because like you were saying earlier, it's a chance to rape each other with our comic book collections.
Yeah, I thought there was rape jokes aside, I know you're not meant to find them funny. It is a little bit funny, but Tom is probably going to make me read Chew at some point, or what's the name of the chicken one?
Secret Agent Poyo.
Fucking Secret Agent Poyo. So yeah, and I'm going to make him read manga at some point as well. But I'm sure that we would only make each other read things that we thought were good.
Yeah.
So we were trying to introduce each other to other stuff, and yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, unless
I'm not going to go out my way to find the worst comic.
Unless we get ironic and we just start doing total B-movie comics and pound shop stuff. Or I mean, I have no idea what the quality of the comics is that we got from the Comic Con.
So this leads us to our what if for this week. Now you came up with this one.
I did.
And yeah, let's have it. Okay,
so the what if for this week is that's the wrong one. My fucking mind's it's 11:30.
It's saying one thing. It's
half 11 at night. So the what if for this week is so if Fables was real, and who knows, it might be real. Which fable or mythical character would you like to see in it? Or maybe you wouldn't like to see, you wouldn't want to encounter this character. It can be from anything. Later on, Fables just goes nuts and starts bringing all sorts of stuff, so just go for it.
Well, I think I have to look back at the stories that I was told as a child.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if anybody else was told or read the story of the Little Match Girl.
The Little Match Girl.
Hans Christian Andersen, which I didn't know until I looked it up earlier. So I'm going to summarise the Little Match Girl for you for how depressing this is. This was a story that my gran told me a lot. I don't know what she wanted me to get out of this, but
did she beat you, Tom?
No.
Okay.
It was love.
Right, okay. Love slaps.
Yeah, spoons.
Love spoons.
No, I'm categorically going on record saying that my gran was fantastic to me.
Okay.
Did not beat me.
On the off chance that she listens.
Yeah, just in case she's one of the 4 people listening.
That guy in Denmark.
So, on a cold New Year's Eve,
okay,
a poor girl tries to sell matches in the street. She is freezing badly but afraid to go home in case her father will beat her for not selling matches.
It's a catch-22 situation.
Yeah, I mean, is it? Just don't go home and do it. Yeah, she's going to freeze or she's going to, get beaten.
I'd rather not die.
She takes shelter in a nook and lights a match to warm herself. In their glow, she sees several lovely visions, including a Christmas tree and a holiday feast. The girl looks skywards to see a shooting star and remembers her deceased grandmother. So she's tripping balls from the cold.
Right, basically. She is on the edge.
She remembers her grandmother saying that the falling star means someone died and is going to heaven. As she lights her next match, she sees a vision of her grandmother, the only person to have treated her with love and kindness. # first world problems.
Yeah, no, totally, man.
She strikes one match after another to keep the vision of her grandmother nearby for as long as she can. The child dies and her grandmother carries her whole soul to heaven. The next morning, passers-by find a dead child in a nook. happy ending. They lived happily ever after.
It's
Eating.
fucking brilliant. It's the best Christmas story. Oh, it's New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
So it's
yeah.
like, this is like the dangers of New Year's Eve. Like,
Make sure you sell your matches.
yes. No, it's...
I feel like she might have sold more if she wasn't using them to look at dead people.
Yeah, but, I mean, who wants to see ghosts? She's selling some haunted matches.
Make them with added side effects of dead grandmas.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not that keen. Okay, so why did your grandma used to tell you this story?
I don't honestly know. Right. Maybe it was the moral of the story. I'm trying to think of because most kids' stories. What's the moral? I know most kids' stories have the moral.
Don't let your kid die in the street.
Wow, this story is about a dying child's dreams and hopes.
Fuck.
It's so bleak.
God damn it.
They don't write them like they used to, do they? Fucking Sesame Street's got nothing on this.
I know, mate.
I think the moral of the story is...
What were your family setting you up for?
Failure. Not failure, no, because failure means getting beat or dying. So it's like, sell your fucking matches, kid.
Yeah.
Don't...
Jesus.
Sell your matches, sort your shit out.
Don't die in a nook.
Don't die in a nook. And if you're going to die in a nook, don't double your losses and burn the matches as well.
Let them, because then they can...
Dad can pick them up later. It's fine.
You can sell them. So
I guess what I'm trying to say is...
You want to see a little dead girl?
I don't want to see her. Because one of the questions was, what wouldn't you want to see?
Oh, right.
I wouldn't want... Because
okay.
I know that this appeared in The Hogfather.
Right.
And this
is
a...
You mean the Terry Pratchett?
The Terry Pratchett book. And I remember it's a reoccurring event that happens every year. And in the book, in this one year, he decides to interfere. He uses his omnipresence as death to override the story and break the cycle. So in my head, I'm thinking, I do not want to see little dead girls selling matches on the streets every year.
Okay.
That was my not wanting to see. Who would I like to see? That's basically just the pin-up girls of Fables.
Okay.
I've got to think about which one I'd like to see the most. I don't know. Snow White's got to be filthy. I know Fables says you don't bring up the seven dwarfs. But I'm bringing up the seven dwarfs. Okay. She has got to be pure filth.
Have you seen that Rammstein video?
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Well, Snow White.
There you go. That's, that maybe resolves that issue.
That's that question solved. Mm-hmm. Other attractive fables.
All of them? Apart from...
It's their job to be attractive, right? Attractive princesses.
They have the princesses and the aspects of beauty and that kind of thing. So, yeah. Unless you're a witch or something.
I reckon Rumpelstiltskin's going to be a baller.
Why? Because he can weave hay and gold.
Yeah.
Doesn't he steal babies?
Tricks people, doesn't he, into giving them their firstborn or something?
Yeah. With how many people fall for
his
telemarketing
doing with all those babies? Sure it's like a collection.
He's building a house.
He's got them bagged and boarded in his house.
Yeah, baby. Bag and board babies.
Bag and boarded babies. That sounds like the best ever kids comic themed TV. Clothesline. Bagged and boarded babies.
Oh, right.
Like if we were to get like onesies for kids in comic print.
Okay. That could work.
Dragon's Den. I'm copywriting that now.
Do you think Duncan Bannatyne would like it?
He's out.
He's out straight away. I guess. I mean, I wouldn't want to run into any of the xenomorphs from Aliens or anything like that.
Are they fables?
They're made up, I guess.
Is that? Was it just anything made up ever?
Are you trying to?
I didn't realise I could pick from anything.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. Like, my mum used to, when I was a kid, when I was too young to watch horror films and stuff, my mum would just tell me the stories from horror movies, like Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th or Alien, so that I could know the story, and then she'd scare me shitless, just talking about things laying eggs inside me and stuff. But she'd tell it like you would tell a story to an 8-year-old, so it had this odd childish twist to it. So I guess to me, in that sense, they were kind of like fables. But
so what was the moral of the story from Aliens?
Don't be John Hurt. Don't get pregnant.
Put something on the end of it, as Jeremy Kyle would say.
Oh God, what a foul excuse for a person. I just had one. Oh man, yeah. Like she would tell me the story of Tommy Knockers and It, loads of different horror books, because my mum's really interested in horror. So I had an avid interest in gorilla-headed dogs and dog-headed gorillas. And
you like one of those kids at school whose parents had to be called him because he was drawing weird things.
Yeah,
like,
that was it.
Mrs. Will's mum.
Will's
been drawing some quite disturbing things.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, and then she comes in and she looks exactly like the thing that I've been drawing. I don't know. It was cool. I thought it was nice. Like, I think I'll do the same for my kids. Definitely.
Scare them shitless.
I'm just gonna. honestly they're going to...
I'd like to see how that would work, like in terms of how you would childify something so incredibly adult.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, could you give us an example?
Like
tell us the story for...
she would tell
Would it follow the tropes? Would it be like Kingdom Far, Far Away?
Oh no, it's not like that. It's too young. Like for example, with Tommyknockers, we'd get told stories like this when we were on like forest hikes and stuff. So she'd say
even more shit.
Yeah, because it's set in a forest, and she'd just say, "Oh yeah, so in forests like this, so this is where the story." Like I'm aware that it's a story. She's saying this, but there's this science experiment, and the scientist was trying to do this. He's trying to combine, like they were trying to make like a weapon, and they combined it. Like she set up like a ghost story sort of thing, basically. So you're getting really like into the idea of this thing existing, but she's not revealing everything about it, and then she just starts using the environment to frighten me. It reminds me of one of the horror comic guys that I might make us read at some point, Junji Ito. In Japan, they have the toilets. I don't know if it's some outside region. He had to go through a 20-foot tunnel or something underground to get to the bathroom at night, and his mum would always tell him that it was haunted and there was ghosts, and apparently his parents would sometimes hide inside the tunnel and dress up as ghosts, but like just be like really try to creep him out when he was trying to not shit himself. And
not surprisingly, he went on to be a horror writer.
Yeah, exactly. You see that influence in his stuff, and it's really cool.
All I can think
I think it's okay to scare kids.
All I can think of is, did you ever used to watch the TV show Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes, with
like,
the candle.
Welcome to the Midnight Society.
That's
or whatever
it.
it was.
Yeah.
They threw the...
Is that the...
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Man,
it.
kids these days have got it like so happy. We should bring all that back.
Frightening kids.
The kids aren't reading enough Goosebumps.
R.L. Stein. Okay, here's the plot of every R.L. Stein book. So, new kid moves in. His mum and dad are scientists. They've got a dog, and then they go into the basement, and then something happened. End chapter 1. And then it turns out like the kid was a dog. All along. That is literally the plot to one of his books.
I remember one about being about us. It came from beneath the sink. It was like the talking sponge.
Yeah. His parents were scientists, weren't they?
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh man, Goosebumps.
The best thing about them was the embossed covers.
Yes.
They were great.
And they were a great excuse to read in like our English reading classes.
Yeah.
Like instead of reading things that were productive, we'd read Goosebumps.
I remember thinking I was a proper boss because you could burn through one of those books in about 20 minutes. The writing's massive in those books. And you're thinking, I'm so good. I'm really good at reading.
I am a hardcore reader.
I'm good at reading these books. But it's just junk food for your brain.
Sort of like this 50 Shades of Grey that's going about by the sounds of it.
I don't know anything about this book. What is it?
I just hear it's porn for women.
Not porn for men?
I don't really know whether... I don't know, I haven't read it. I don't even really know.
Have you never read anything erotic that was arousing?
No.
You must have read like a cereal box that really got to you.
A cereal box
like there's a box of Frosties that had a particularly arousing picture of Tony the Tiger, or...
No.
Never. Is it not like that Winswell joke where Bugs Bunny dresses as a woman and then you get like a weird twinge like that?
I can honestly say that's never happened.
Never. Have you ever been attracted to a cartoon character? Do we cut that, or was that was kind of effective?
It needs a dramatic. I think that has to stay.
Okay. Is this no? Yes.
I don't really know. I mean,
not Jessica Rabbit, like an easy one.
Man, I never really liked
Princess Jasmine.
I mean, they were all pretty and stuff, but like I can't think.
But you wanted to know the real person, not the actress, but like the actual character. You weren't interested in the bodies.
I was like, she's pretty.
Okay.
I can't. But there's a difference between saying a cartoon character and like the original point, which was, have I read anything erotic? No.
Oh yeah, we deviated pretty quickly.
We failed miserably to stay on topic on this show.
Yeah.
No to that. No, I haven't read anything erotic. I'm a much more visual person, and even though I have a very good imagination,
okay,
I'd much rather just look at boobs.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
Okay.
Second question: Have I ever been attracted to a cartoon character? Adam Eve from Invincible's pretty hot.
True. Yeah. This is quite weird.
We got massively off topic.
We did.
We were talking about Fables in the real world.
Yes.
And got way off topic.
We did.
Is that an answer? It's kind of an answer.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's somewhere in
answer.
that pile is an answer, so we'll stick with that.
And if you don't like it, tough shit.
You can sit on it.
You can send us an answer.
Yeah, please.
For a change.
That'd be good.
All 5 people we know are listening.
Yeah, done.
Never send us anything.
Yeah, okay. So, off the top of my head, I can't remember which comics we're going to read next time.
We have Moon issue 1,
By
from Beyond the Bunker. Thompson, Penfold, Matilda, indie comic. From what I remember speaking to the guy, it's about the moon who crashes to Earth and then puts on a suit and starts shooting people.
Nice. Okay, moving on.
Next, Disconnected Press Volume 1, a collection of stories by British writers and artists aimed at promoting British talent.
Viva Britannia. You're not in your pyjamas.
Fantasy World by Theo Ajibode, art by Ingo. And there's another one somewhere. Lost Boys, another one from Disconnected Press.
So, do you have 2 copies of Lost Boys?
No, I have 1.
Right.
It's just over there and I can't be able to get up and find it, but I know the title was in there.
Okay, cool. And we'll read those next week.
Yep.
For next week.
And then we'll take a closer look at the Electric Man press kit.
Sure.
Try and predict what we think, whether this might be interesting or not.
Okay.
So, if you'd like to find us on the interwebs, you need to go to oneshotpodcast.wordpress.com, which hasn't been updated since issue 2.
It hasn't. You can find us on the Twitter, One Shot Podcast, all one word.
Going back to the website, undoing all your hard work there.
Okay.
I'm going to try and put up cosplay pictures from LFCC this week.
Cool. Okay.
And just pictures and more information about the stuff we're going to be reading. Because obviously it's not something people can walk into a comic book shop and buy if they want to read along.
It's true.
So yeah, Twitter. So if you want to read, if you want to listen to us on YouTube, that's One Shot Podcast. I would like more people to subscribe. I know people are watching it. I've seen the analytics. I've seen where people are listening from. I know you're there. So just, it's not hard. Click subscribe.
It's okay.
Damn it, makes me so angry.
We're not actually angry or anything. No. I
just want acceptance.
It's 11:45 and we have to be up in a few hours to go back to work. So, and acceptance is pleasant. We're on Facebook, so facebook.com/oneshotpodcast, and then there's email at oneshotpodcast@gmail.com.
And we're on iTunes, so even easier if you just subscribe to us there. It beams it straight down to your iPhone, iPad, everything.
Search for One Shot, a comic podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that's it for One Shot Podcast this week.
Yeah, and this has been Tom and Will. Tom, do you want to say your name?
Actually, I feel like you saw my identity totally.
Sorry, dude.
It's like, that's Tom.
Okay.
I'm Tom.
Okay, so this week it's been a one-shot podcast as usual, and I've been Will.
I'm still Tom.
There we go.
Damn it, it's transferred.
Role reversal.
Keep reading.
Please.